17 is a public hearing on the proposed City of West Bend budget for the year 2020. Presentation by Jay.
For the public hearing, you just want to declare the public hearing.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak about the proposed budget for 2020? Chief, good evening.
Good evening. Although I'm changing hats and I'm coming here tonight as a homeowner and a city taxpayer, and some of you probably recognize me as a department head also. I've been involved in the city's budget process for 17 years, both preparing and administering budgets. My very first year preparing a budget was in 2003. Then City Administrator Dennis Melvin told me that he was sorry I was coming in for the worst budget he's ever had to prepare. That year we cut positions, including a police officer position, we cut our overtime budget, cut other items, and we held the line pretty much in every other category. Every year since then, department heads have pretty much held the line and reduced our budget. Over the years, I've sat through a number of common council meetings, budget presentations, and have attended a number of city staff meetings during budget preparation. We worked through a lot of changes, including the effects of Act 10, the recession, cuts in the budget, reductions in employee compensation. I think all of us that work in the city recognize the improvements in the city's balance sheet. The city has made strides and accomplished a lot in reducing the city's debt and increasing the city's reserve. But this budget and previous budgets in recent years have not addressed long-term capital improvement needs and employee compensation issues. This year and for the past several years, by the time the Common Council has received the first budget, department heads and staff have already held the line or cut several requests and have been forced to push off capital budget requests to future years. Every year we have been told no increases in staff, reduced non-personnel items, and are very limited on any capital improvement. Because of this, department heads' requests for items and personnel issues are constantly being pushed off to the next year. At an earlier Common Council meeting this year, Alderman Hugister asked about items in the 5-year plan, always being pushed off to the next year, and not a lot of progress being made on that list. He was told that the 5-year plan was a wish list. I'm not an expert in every department's 5-year plan for capital improvements, but I have sat through enough meetings with department heads to recognize that there are serious concerns for safety and efficiencies when using equipment that is aging and in need of repairs. A recent article on the condition in West Bend schools noted that the district has done a poor job in terms of general maintenance and capital facilities management. The task force noted that letting facilities decay prematurely due to inadequate maintenance has added to the present capital expense in the schools. The same could be said for the condition of some of our city roads, city facilities, and other infrastructures. Our budgets have improved as far as debt on paper, but crumbling infrastructure and a capital request list that does not get addressed is also a debt that is being passed on to the next generation and the next council. I want to talk a little bit about the operating versus capital budget, as that was one item that was addressed or discussed 2 weeks ago. For those of us that were around earlier this decade, after Mayor Sadonico was first elected, there was a mayor's task force. In that task force, there was a recommendation made to stop borrowing for known planned expenses, noting that the long-term interest in debt was costing taxpayers more money. In some areas, we have tried to do that with our budgets. The police department no longer borrows, for instance, for its vehicles and regular technology upgrades. Other areas, we have not done that in the city. In particular, I note the regular borrowing of money into capital projects to maintain roads. If it is for maintenance, then why are we borrowing? This money should be put in the operating budget. As mentioned above in reference to schools, if we fail to do regular maintenance, the long-term cost will be greater. If we acknowledge we need to maintain roads, then why are we borrowing for that? In particular, I note that the money in the capital projects budget for pavement maintenance program and annual sidewalk program. If these are annual expenses, shouldn't the city budget for them rather than borrow? Borrowing increases the overall cost of the road maintenance, takes away from other capital projects. I'm not sure, but I believe that was Alderman Jenkins' comment at last week's meeting regarding the capital projects and the roads. In the April 2018 referendum on roads, two of the questions asked is if the city should borrow more money for roads. Perhaps the question should simply have been, should the city spend more to improve on roads? The bottom line, I believe, is that we need to both add money to the operating budget and borrow for the major construction projects such as the reconstruction of 7th Avenue. I understand, as all taxpayers do, that may result in increasing taxes. I believe it will, however, I believe it will increase the overall value of the city and save us taxpayers money in the long run. I also want to address some staff and personnel concerns. As a result, mostly of Act 10, but of other things that have occurred in the city, many staff were hired at what was referred to as a beginning salary. They were told their job was within a pay range and that they had the opportunity to reach top pay within that range. That has not happened. Employees working side by side, doing same or similar job or work, have been paid at different pay levels, and those at the lower pay scales have little or no opportunity to get additional compensation. Differences between represented employees and non-represented employees are causing compression issues in both the fire and police department. The pay and many benefits of city staff are falling behind competitors. We are finding it more and more difficult to hire and retain staff. Washington County just announced a pay plan to adjust and attempt to correct similar concerns of county workers. I ask that the city take the similar approach. Years ago, we did a compensation study which due to the times was largely ignored. As mentioned above, it is important to take care of facilities and infrastructures, but it is most important that we take care of our most valued resources, our employees. I ask the council to look at these issues in both the 2020 budget and future budgets. I recommend you start in a small way by not reducing the proposed 2020 budget with carryover, but rather use that money to address capital project issues and our employees' inequities. Thank you.
Thank you.